Here in the US, we are edging into month 2 of COVID-related shutdowns. In quite a few conversations lately, the discussion has turned to the global insurance environment, specifically Europe, who is a few weeks ahead of us dealing with this crisis. What can we learn from our counterparts on the other side of the pond? I figured, who better to ask than the man in the middle of it all? Robbie and Kiera from Digital Scouting will share his perspective from Germany. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat today.
Thank you for having me.
So how's it going over there?
After a few days of crisis, a few days of CTOs almost, it was tears in their eyes because their core systems could not be managed outside the company, they all found a solution. My personal impression is they all found the solutions. Behind the scenes, I have not heard of the breakdown of systems. I have heard not of the implosion of a company. I have not heard that in any European country. But I have the impression all found solutions within days. And that's so, and my favorite examples is Switzerland, where they did not accept electronic signature for some other of regulatory reasons. And Julian Teike, the CEO of WeFox, he said we have to try it for 7 years to convince them. And suddenly it was possible within 7 days. So, what I want to say is I think that's what I take away. The insurance industry, I know I'm ranting and banging a lot of times, but I think we are more, capable of doing innovation and we are more capable of things. But this also means when we return, we cannot go back to we have always been doing this way. We cannot go back to the old blame game and excuse game. We are capable of these things. We showed this. But I think we should really, really take this as an inspiration and move forward and don't wait 7 years for another implementation of another technology. So this is like a complete change. And I think a big hit is the sales force, the agents and brokers not being allowed to go to their clients and their clients. They're super, important ones. With small businesses, entrepreneurs, companies. I mean, they're shut down. They have they are in crisis mode. They're now consultants, at least some of them are. And I think that's something that's super interesting to see. Will sales implode over the next weeks and months? Or will we see a lot of cancellations because businesses are going to go out of business?
Yeah, and I think on the sales side, one coverage that's been talked about ad nauseum over here is business interruption coverage.
Yep.
I mean, on the commercial line side, it's a coverage that I think most business owners didn't pay a ton of attention to until this happened. So there's been endless conversation right now of, will this coverage apply to US businesses? How many policies have exclusions specifically calling out virus? There's been state governments considering trying to overrule those exclusions. So very, very hot topic right now. What's the situation over there in Europe as far as that coverage goes?
You have exclusion, you have inclusion, and you have in the middle. What we have seen over here is not the discussion about how insurers can contribute, but actually, especially in Germany, you had the discussion about members of the government saying they want to take away wealth of certain people. I'm not talking about multi-billionaires. I'm talking really about the normal guys who have been, working hard. And that's something super interesting. And what I know from behind the scenes, I mean, I cannot share too many details, but I would not be surprised if certain insurers would make a deal with the government to help their clients that have not been included. Because why? First of all, it's quite, in the unclear cases that you could have a lot of lawsuits, which is not a big problem here in Central Europe because you don't have this gigantic legal system with a lot of, with a lot of bad fines. It's not so bad over here. But what you have is the question of consulting. The agent and broker, often carrier, is obliged to consult its carrier, its client with, in a way, not only sell products. And the big question is, has the client been informed that, the pandemic is insured or not? And that's something I think this discussion could lead to the whole change of the sales system, could lead to severe problems in the industry. And I think that's also one motivation, not only to help the clients out there, but I think that's something why politicians and insurers are currently talking behind the scenes. I think there will be a solution. If all insurers will be on board, I don't know, but a few will. I'm pretty sure about this. Yes, it's a tricky situation. Why? Because insurers have a lot of money, government doesn't currently, but it's spending a lot. Now they're looking for people to chip in. And if you have something, do you go forward and offer a little bit of something to negotiate, or are you waiting until they come with gunpoint? I don't know what's a better strategy, but that's the background here. That's very political, and it has nothing to do with, what's in the contract or not.
But definitely a very complex situation. So many different stakeholders with different points of view on this, that's for sure. You guys are a little bit ahead of us when it comes to both the spread and the response. Any advice for us here in the States?
First of all, I would wish we would be in advanced in some, something cooler, like, I don't know, faster internet or something, and not like the disease. So maybe next time. So what I think, what's super important is to accept the new reality. The new reality is, and I think the more you have the steps of, change, denial, anger, bargaining, and depression, and acceptance and action. I think it's now super important to accept the new situation. And then another thing is what's important is, I think it's not the time to watch Netflix now. If you don't have a job, it's fine. It's time to find a new one. It doesn't need to be the super career choice. It can be some job around the corner. It doesn't matter. And if you still have one, it's your job to make the most valuable for your company, so that your company, doesn't cut you. It's a hard and honest truth. It's no time for Netflix. And what we see in agents and brokers, we see some agents super excelling, doing still great business, going to their clients, helping to lower costs. Last thing, and we all, let's look around. Who can we help? Who can we do good with? What can we do for free for others? Like this video to try to get some good insights from somewhere else. I think that's also super important. And because there will be a time afterwards, we will get out of this. And the insurance industry has always been around, I think. And let's make the best out of it. I think that's what I would take away from it so far.
Well, that's really helpful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think you really hit the nail on the head. This isn't going to last forever. Right now, it kind of feels like it does, but it's going to end. So we just have to get through it, accept what we have now, accept this strange new temporary normal that we have. These are the cards we've been dealt. So all we can do is try to get through it, try to continue, supporting all of our stakeholders, our customers, our partners, and just try to get through this and keep moving forward. Don't just, as you kind of mentioned, set up Netflix and check out for a few months. I think that's really important.
And maybe one more last thing. I think when you look in history, and I'm an historian by trade, if you look when empires are born and built, it's mostly in times of crisis. So if you are an entrepreneur, you have a career, it doesn't matter. It's possible that, out of this crisis, when you do the right things and you do work hard and you put a lot of action, it can be that you get out of this stronger. Maybe you don't build an empire, maybe you do, but you can get stronger out of this. And I think, it doesn't feel good if you get fired or lose business, or you need to fire people or close down business. That doesn't feel good, but maybe you can get out of this even stronger, because in crisis are these special moments where things are possible. And I think that's something we should maybe that's something good outlook. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that positivity and optimism is hard right now, but it's the only way that we'll get through this. And I think continuing to engage and share ideas and connect is the best way through this. I really appreciate the work that you're doing with your daily series, which, by the way, I don't know how you put all that content together. It's absolutely incredible. So hats off to you. It's incredible. So yeah, if you haven't watched or seen Robin's show, you need to. Literally around the globe, leaders on a daily basis showing what's going on. So must see for anyone who's in the insurance industry. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much, Amber. Hang in there and stay safe.